Halo, ini Kiwindo dan hari ini aku sama
Brent, seorang Māori dari Selandia Baru. Ayah saya adalah orang Skotlandia. Jadi saya Māori dan Skotlandia.
and as you can tell, he speaks Indonesian, which is amazing and improving day by day. And he's only learned now for 7 months.
7 bulan, ya.
Yeah, 7 bulan dan udah sebagus ini.
Makasih.
So today we're going to talk about something Brent found during his trip to Indonesia last year, his first time there, which is the similarities between Māori and Indonesia in terms of culture and language. So firstly, we're going to get into the language side of things, the similarities between Te Reo Māori and Bahasa Indonesia. So a few words which I've actually, since living in New Zealand, have picked up on, but not thought about it in such a significant way as you have.
Right.
I've realised, oh, that word's kind of similar to Indonesian, and my little brother has picked up on it as well at school.
I'll tell you, the very first word I noticed was the word ikan. It's random, but the word ikan in Indonesian I learned means fish, and the Māori word for fish is ika. So that was the first one that caught my attention, and from that, the more I learned, the more I started to discover these words, and the list started to grow. We count in Māori tahi, rua, toru, wha, rima. That's 1 to 5. And of course in Indonesian, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So dua and lima stuck out to me. I was just like, oh, they got some similar numbers also. Also, our word in Māori, sky is rangi, R-A-N-G-I. And I learned in Bahasa Indonesia, langit, which is similar sounding. Oh, another one that stuck out for me early was kata Māori adalah taringa, telinga, yeah, taringa, telinga. You also have the word kutu for like lice. And we say kutu, we say the exact same thing. We say turi, somebody who's deaf, turi, like you can't hear. So, and I learned in Bahasa Indonesia, tuli. And there's probably many I don't know yet. It's just something that reveals itself. And I didn't go out of my way usually to learn these words. They just popped up in vocab. So that got me even more fascinated about not only the linguistic or language connection, but the apparent historical connection between us as people, because there are many different theories about where Māori people originated from. Māori people have been in New Zealand, the historians say, anywhere from between 1,000 and 2,000 years, which is quite a short time really in the grand scheme of history. So some theories say that Māori people originally came down from the Asian mainland, and that therefore perhaps through the Indonesian archipelago. And some say South America. So there's differing versions, and I'm no expert on any of them. But the language has led me to get really interested in the connection.
Any other words you can think of?
Let me think. Okay. Now that I'm on the spot, it's kind of difficult, but yeah. Some of the words are not necessary. This is more of a cultural, perhaps, similarity. That shows itself in the language. Bahasa Indonesia, word for old is tua, and in Māori we have the word tua, which means we put that with our parents and our grandparents, like people older than us. So we say ko mātua is our elders or old people, and our mātua is our parents. So although those examples aren't obvious, I believe that they're like still a similarity. You know, and then maybe over time we've taken different ways of using the words, but the concept of something being older is still in that word.
So let's get into the cultural similarities now. I mean, I'm not too familiar with Māori culture myself, but one thing I think that's similar is, you know, big families, emphasis on people. In
Māori we have a proverb, which is really, you know, it's a famous, probably one of the most popular Māori proverbs, and it says, "He aha te mea nui o te ao, he tangata," which means, what is the greatest thing in the world? It's people. Manaakitanga in our culture is really important. I don't know the Indonesian word. It gets translated into English as hospitality.
Okay.
And looking after people. So not just caring for them, you know, in theory, but like looking out for people and you know, whether that's practical, feeding them and housing them or helping them out when they're in need, sharing. These are like important values in our culture. We are a people, as are the Indonesians in my experience, yeah.
The gatherings are a
Yes.
another big similarity between the two?
Dan makanan.
Yeah.
Pertama, makanan. Yeah, it's big gatherings. We love to eat and we love to show our manaki and our hospitality with food. It's like an important part of our culture. If I can I talk about like another cultural connection? Early on when I started to learn Bahasa Indonesia, I was speaking with online with a friend in Medan. And in our culture, Māori people, when we meet someone for the first time, we hongi, what's called hongi, and we touch our noses together. The symbolism of that is that we share breath and we acknowledge each other's life force. That's the cultural meaning. And I explained this to my friend Jeffrey in Medan. And he thought that was interesting. And he says, oh, there's people in Kalimantan who do that too. He's not from there, but he knew from maybe he saw it on television. I don't know how he knew. Also, another experience I had in Indonesia. Tahun lalu saya di Jakarta di Sekolah Al-Azhar. And I did a presentation about New Zealand, just sharing different facts and information. Part of my presentation was to share some music and cultural elements. And so I did what's called a haka, which is commonly thought of as a war dance or a war challenge. So I did that to engage the young people, just to break up the talking. And one young man, he stood up at the end of it and he says, oh, me and my family, we were just in Papua recently on a holiday. And we went to a place where the people did something like that. And he didn't know more about it, he didn't know what to call it or anything like that, but he quickly saw something that looked familiar. All this evidence to me like makes a web of like interesting things. Yeah, at the very least, and don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to convince anybody of that, aha, I've found, you know, there's not really that. What it is that at the very least, I believe it deserves some attention, you know, because there's enough at the very least to go, hey, let's look at this some more.
There's something there.
There's something there, and I don't know what it is, but it's worth looking at because it's interesting. And that's really where I'm at. There's these small but significant examples of similarity. And when you mix that or add that to the language similarities, these things are motivation for me to like learn Indonesian. I'm enjoying the language itself, but not just language for language's sake. I enjoy it for the people I meet, like yourself, and make new friends and have language as a common element.